Eat like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets, all for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
Before we get into the magnetic fields that are melting the 49ers hamstrings, we need to talk about a different kind of flame-boiled science. Look, we don't know if electrical substations cause muscle fatigue, but we do know that hunger causes bad takes. And the only cure for a leather-brained hunger is the all-new Ultimate Steakhouse Whopper at Burger King. We're talking 100% flame-grilled beef stacked with golden onion rings, crispy bacon, sauteed mushrooms, and melty Swiss cheese, baby. All topped with that creamy peppercorn aioli. And it's basically masterclass in having it your way. Whether you're fuel loading for a snow game or just trying to survive the coaching carousel, grab the $4.99 double cheeseburger meal and stay sharp. Head to Burger King or, hear me out, download the Burger King app to rule your lunch break. Burger King, you rule. Appreciate the sponsorship, Burger King. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Leatherbrainz, the only show that watches the film so you don't have to. And occasionally, we do question the laws of physics while we're at it. Today is Monday, January 26th, and the road to Santa Clara is officially paved. We've got a Super Bowl matchup that feels like a glitch in the Matrix. In one corner, you have the New England Patriots, who just won a Snow Bowl in Denver that was so white out, I'm pretty sure the refs were just guessing where the ball was. And in the other, the Seattle Seahawks, led by, and I cannot believe I'm going to say this out loud, Sam Darnold. The man the Jets threw away, the Panthers forgot, and the man the Vikings let walk in free agency just became the first quarterback from the legendary 2018 quarterback class to lead his team to a Super Bowl. I am so sorry, Josh Allen. Better luck next time, Lamar. Sam Darnold, first quarterback to make it. So also say, before we get into the X's and O's of Championship Sunday, we have to talk about the X-Files. We've been telling you for a couple weeks now about this electrical substation sitting next to the 49ers practice facility. Well, the tinfoil hats are coming off because Christian McCaffrey and quote-unquote a good number of Niners players are reportedly voicing concerns that the facility is literally melting their muscles. When John Lynch has to go on record asking for credible studies on low-frequency emissions and tendon damage, you know that the vibes in Santa Clara are officially compromised. And speaking of compromise, the NFL Pro Bowl today, the league announced that Browns rookie Shedeur Sanders is officially a Pro Bowler. Now, I want to give you guys some stats here. He had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, and he is ranked 59th in passer rating out of 60 quarterbacks in the league. But hey, he's a Sanders, and the Pro Bowl ratings are in a free fall deeper than Josh Rosen's career arc, so why not, right? Let's bring him in. We got a coaching carousel spinning around out of control. Mike McCarthy heads to the Steel City, and Robert Saleh is taking over the Music City. We also have Phillip Rivers. He's just teasing the Bills a little bit. And Sean Payton is probably still screaming at a ref in a snowbank somewhere in Colorado. We're going to cover all of this today. And I said we because I am not alone. I am joined today by producer Scotty Del Rey and Alan Casanova Castro. Gentlemen, how are we doing? I am so excited to have you guys here on the show today.
Yo, talking football. We had a snow game, guys. It was so fun. So fun.
It was
terrible football, but it was fun.
I was gonna say it was horrible football.
I was gonna say those like the 2 worst teams you could put in snow. Like, let's take just awful offenses for the moment and just put them in a snow globe and see how good they are.
That's essentially exactly what it was, and we're going to be covering that, guys. But before we cover the AFC and the NFC Championship, I want to give a little bit of recap about this 49ers conspiracy theory that's being talked about more and more in the NFL space. We covered this, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we talked about how there is essentially, and I'll just kind of give the recap here, the 49ers practice facility is close to an electrical substation, and there are some that are theorizing that this is the reason why the 49ers have been more injury prone over the last few years, which is something to do with the substation in conjunction with like muscle fatigue and breakdown. And that's why the 49ers have been so injury prone is the argument that is floating around. There are new reports out there that Christian McCaffrey has been one of the 49ers players to voice his concerns about this. And Christian McCaffrey's trainer even reached out to Dr. Jack Kruse about this last year. So this was news that had kind of started circulating this year. But according to this report, Christian McCaffrey actually reached out about it last year. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, alongside with a good number of other 49ers players who we don't have the names of. So The 49ers have even acknowledged that this theory is being floated around in the NFL circles, and they're asking experts for any credible studies that link low-frequency electrical emissions with soft tissue/tendon damage. So, is it real? I mean, this is something that if the 49ers are starting to ask for, I don't know how many studies are even out there about electrical emissions in conjunction with soft tissue damage. I imagine there's probably not a lot of those. But are we drinking the Kool-Aid, gentlemen?
Yes, obviously. Has anybody put it into Chat GPT yet? Like, that's pretty much how I get all my stuff answered today anyways. I just like ask a machine to tell me if it's real or not, and then it spits it out. They should start there and then figure it out.
Did you ask Chat GPT about this? Because
I haven't yet.
I think
the question of big machine. ChatGPT
that's the question, because there's some bias there. Yeah,
it's sentient. It's gonna know that it's got to protect itself. That's true.
Yeah,
you can't talk shit on electricity, because then what's it's gonna do?
That's true. I think I saw some people on Twitter arguing about this because they were like, "Oh, it's just the 49ers trying to cope with all their injuries and McCaffrey and yada yada." And I was like, "Yeah, but McCaffrey has started his career in Carolina and was pretty much playing all the time." And he has some injuries.
Did he miss an entire season? Like right before he got traded?
His first 3 years, he didn't miss a snap.
Well, yeah, but he was younger.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm saying so is it either, so they're correlated facts, not causation facts is what I think we're looking at. Like,
I'm not even sure. Here's the thing. I feel like I'm open-minded to this possibility.
No, you're not.
I am open-minded to this possibility. But I think that we're all a little too far, because I haven't seen anyone actually credibly say that the 49ers are more injury-ridden than other franchises. Because I know, like, if you look at the last, 8 years, it really feels that way. But does it just feel that way, or is it true? And then, moreover, they've been next to this electrical place for, like, 4 decades. So are they just now starting to get more injury-ridden, or has this been a problem that has just been ignored?
It's like erosion.
All of my lifetime.
It's like erosion. It takes time, Matt. Come on, you need to.
Yeah, but an NFL career lasts like 6 years. So you'd think that if this was such a significant,
everybody knows that.
If this is such a significant problem, we would have heard about it before right now.
Well, right? But they've been hurt, and we talked about this, and we have a group chat offline. And we talked about this, and I looked up the median age for the 49ers because I was like, is it age? Is it this electrical plant? And I don't think you can use median age as like a justifiable reason because, well, the median age of the 49ers, they are ranked the 12th oldest team in the NFL.
This year. But you're talking about a tiny subset.
Sure,
they've been next to this power plant for 40 years. Okay, so like any team can have...
No, they moved. When did they move to Santa Clara?
It was 1988 when they built this. I think they were there for 2 years, if I remember right. They were, because I looked this up today. They built their facility in like 1986, and I think this power plant was built in 1988. But they've both been there for 40 years, or almost 40 years. So it's like this should have been a problem a long time ago, until it's just like, oh, now, they're getting injured and they're losing because of it in the playoffs, so it must be fucking electromagnetism. It can't be the strength trainer in the building.
Obviously.
It's not even just the playoffs, because the 49ers have always been in, like, I don't want to say always because I don't know the statistical data to make this argument, but over the last couple of years, the 49ers have been one of the more injury-prone teams in the NFL. I think that's fair to say. I think we can all agree on that. So I don't know about the past.
Do we actually know? I don't mean to be questioning everything right now, but do we even know if that's true? Because we know that they have had significant injuries, but were they just to significant stars, or were they actually higher in quantity? Like, is it just people like George Kittle and CMC getting injured? So we say, wow, if they weren't so injured, they would be competing. Or do they actually have more people injured than any other team? Like, do we, because
their whole defense at one point in time this year was completely
let me just say this real quick, that the power plant doesn't discriminate, I assume, based on skill level. So you'd assume that there'd be like third and fourth stringers getting injured just as often as George Kittle.
No, because the third and fourth stringers aren't playing as often.
They're practicing. This is the practice facility. They're all spending time at the practice facility.
Okay, but we all played football in high school, and we aren't practicing like we're playing at a game. Those are two very different, like, scenarios.
But they're there. It's the electromagnetism. It's everywhere.
Sure, it's weakening their bodies,
Not
but
gonna
when
listen
then
to
they're
this.
going 100%, like in a game, then they're more prone to get injured.
I would like to know if Alan's going full flat earther right before our eyes right now.
No, 100%. I am.
Okay.
I'm all in on this. And you brought up 2 names. You're like, is it targeting CMC or Kittle? Is it targeting white people? Now we need to extrapolate this. Like,
Oh my God.
are electrical substations racist? And that's what I think we really need to dive into. You know, if I'm going to be spending my time on anything, is probably that.
That's a good
Without
point.
any further investigation, where do you think where are we drawing the line in the sand?
I think they're hurting
Are
the
they
ligaments
racist?
of white males. That's my.
Well,
be
Fred
my
Warner's
hypothesis.
Yeah, what about Fred Warner?
African, and he's hurt, and he's by the
We're off
substation
the
too.
rails.
I don't think he's African. I think he's American.
Well, he's
I would just like to
African
focus
skin
on that
tone.
for a second. Okay.
Is Fred Warner African?
Oh my god. Okay.
No, we gotta get back to the
Yes,
white people
San
are the subject
Francisco
of this right now.
49ers linebacker Fred Warner has African American heritage.
Yeah, if I pull up my ancestry DNA, it also
I didn't say he
tells-
was. I didn't say he was from Africa.
Okay, your exact words were he's African. So how are we supposed to interpret that?
Okay, African American.
All right,
Okay.
ChatGPT
All right.
didn't list the 49ers as the most injured team, so I already think it's trying to cover its tracks.
Okay.
Yeah,
smart.
that's
You
big
can't trust
machine.
that. It's machines.
That's big.
So I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna net out. Like we're gonna figure this out. Like the government will distract us with the real answers later, like they did with the aliens. Like
Yeah.
30 years from now, they'll be like, "Yeah, you guys are right about those electrical substations." Like they'll just float that out there somewhere.
Sorry, yeah, and
Whoops,
like,
you're right about that.
and the 49ers will have moved to a new location by then, and none of it
Yeah.
matters.
And then there'll
they'll
be
just like,
subtext. Also, they're super racist.
yeah, towards specifically white people. Okay, so that kind of brings everybody up to speed on the 49ers electrical substation update. So
You're welcome. You're welcome,
yeah,
everyone, for that.
You're
news
only going to
reporting.
find that here at Leatherbrainz.
Cutting
Let's
edge.
pivot over and talk about the Pro Bowl, because there was some news today that has NFL media talking heads, everybody that is in the NFL space is going absolutely crazy because the Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders has officially been named to the Pro Bowl as an injury replacement, like an injury backup replacement for the AFC quarterbacks. And this was in large part due to Drake May now heading to the Super Bowl, which kind of freed up a spot. Now, I kind of touched on this earlier. Shedeur Sanders' stats this season, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in
Pretty
8
good.
games played,
Wow.
68.1 passer rating, which is ranked 59th out of 60 quarterbacks in the rating of
Not last.
passer rating. Yeah, well, that's true. I don't know who the last
But he's not last.
He's not last. Shedeur is the first Browns quarterback to make the Pro Bowl since 2008, and that quarterback was Derek Anderson. So I'm going to ask this
The
question.
legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the legend. Is Shedeur Sanders better than Deion Sanders? Because Deion didn't make his first Pro Bowl until his 3rd season, and Shedeur did it as a rookie. So
He did it in only 8
it's-
games.
in 8 games, which
Pretty
is
impressive.
another great point. That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty
The thing that
impressive.
stood out to me was all of the quarterbacks that Stefanski had. And this is his one Pro Bowl quarterback with Shedeur Sanders. That's the best. That's the best. Good for Stefanski. Just developing
Well,
QBs
he's
so
not
quickly.
even there anymore. So
Yeah, but he developed them, obviously.
It's his legacy.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Obviously.
Falcons fans
He's
that.
a whisperer.
I think the underlying reason that I have come up with is, and I think most NFL fans who aren't just pro Shedeur Sanders, it's because the Pro Bowl is a freaking joke. Like, that's what the Pro Bowl is. The Pro Bowl.
What's
Wow.
crazy? Here's the thing: the AFC, Shedeur Sanders might be, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC. Because I don't know if you watched the AFC this year, it was embarrassing. It was terrible.
True.
It was
You
terrible
can't
the
tell
whole
me
time.
Shedeur is a top 3 AFC quarterback.
Well, you could put
There's-
Patrick Mahomes above him, but he's got a torn ACL, so you got to
Yeah.
jump straight to Shedeur.
Yeah, it goes Mahomes Shedeur. I was going to say, after that first Broncos drive, I was getting ready to call Bo Nix a system quarterback. So,
Yeah.
So the Pro Bowl views over the last 5 years, that in 2020 it was the last normal game, was 8 million views. In 2021, back in COVID, it was 1.8 million views, which was a drastic decline, and they played virtual Madden players. And they did. It was a virtual Pro Bowl, and they played Madden.
We forgive and forget.
Yeah. In 2022, it jumped back up to 6.7 million, which was still not close to the 8 million that they had in 2020. And that was the last year of players playing in pads. In 2023, they started the flag football, which then dropped to 6.3 million. And subsequently, over the last 2 years in 2024 and 2025, they have gotten 5.75 million views and 4.7 million views, respectively. So, in my mind, and in the minds of probably a lot of people, this was all just a stint to try and get some sort of publicity around the Pro Bowl, because Shedeur Sanders has been one of the, like, an enigma in the NFL space, and everybody's just constantly talking about him as a 5th-round draft pick quarterback that some people are on one side of the fence saying he's shit. Other people are on the other side of the fence saying how he went to the 5th round is an absolute disgrace. So everybody's been talking about that all season, and it just kind of seems very telling that that's the move that the NFL went with.
I mean, it's an entertainment league. They know what it's going to draw eyes and numbers. People like Shedeur's. They want Shedeur regardless of what his output was on the field. He is a polarizing figure in the NFL. People have opinions about him for some reason. I think people forget you reserve the right to not have an opinion at all. You can just kind of let it be, but they do. And so now we're left with this. The NFL knows what it's doing. It's not stupid. The one thing I will say I wish they would bring back, and this is much like the NBA. Everybody wants the dunk contest. Everybody wants the 3-point contest. They need to do more, like, who can throw it the farthest. Like, just do more of that.
Kick.
Yeah, just.
But I don't think they want to do that, though. Which I'm not arguing with you about me wanting to see it, but like,
the quarterbacks
really want to showcase that? No, they don't.
No, because they're pussies. Because they're scared to admit that somebody might throw it farther than them. That's what it is. And just like LeBron was never in a dunk correct. He's scared just in case somebody's seen as a better dunker than he is. They're all pussies. That's what it comes down to. Sorry. I know this is a family-friendly show, but that's what it is. But they should.
Well,
we've already. Never mind.
Okay, hold on. We had a science class at the beginning teaching kids about why electrical substations were bad. We
learned
a little bit.
Talked about Africa.
Yeah, we learned a little about race and geography, and now
and Santa Clara.
Yeah, we're moving to this, whatever this is. But I think, but that's my opinion. I think they should do that, but they're all scared to do it. They're all just because they all have these internet personas. They all have this PR team behind them. Like, nobody wants to take a hit.
Take it a step further. Like, yeah, you're right. And it comes down to PR, but like, you could even get into the argument of contracts, right? Like, somebody like Shedeur Sanders is not on like a high dollar contract, and we'll see how the next few years pan out for him. But like, in the event that he is in 2 or 3 years from now, his contract's up and he wants to go sign at a different team, I get it. It's 3 or 4 years. So that's there's a long time gap there, but if he's got negative PR around him not throwing a ball very far, that could come back to bite him in the ass, even from a contract perspective, and that could affect their finances.
Yeah, it's just a matter. There's nobody wants to compete anymore. Like, you go back to like the old school days of the NFL, and you'd have just these badasses who are like, I'm gonna show that I am the best at everything, and like I'm gonna do whatever I can. And now, like, I understand why we're not playing actual football and tackle football. We don't want injuries. You know, injuries are very, very expensive, and you don't want to waste them on a Pro Bowl game. But we could at least have real competition and something like, throwing the ball accurately or distance or whatever, like that sort of stuff, or pro agility sort of stuff, like where you have the top running back competing against each other, or strength day or whatever it is. Like, you can have real, actual competition that people are invested in, but they just don't want to do that.
They're all scared.
Well, and the other thing too to kind of think about is, and I'm not saying this is a high likelihood, but it's in the range of outcomes, is what if one of these quarterbacks gets injured when they're trying to throw the ball as long as they or as far as they can? And I get it, right? But like, now you're talking about, depending on what that injury could be, or the running backs having a sprinting contest and maybe they tear their ACL on the field or something, and it's like, now they're not even ready.
Just don't do it in Santa Clara; they'll be fine.
Just get away from the substations. Mm-hmm. It is kind of interesting as far as the Pro Bowl is concerned. Like, we think it's a joke. A lot of people think it's a joke, and it is being made into this mockery now, and this only further, strengthens that argument. But they're like, former players are kind of pissed off about this too. There was it's a former 3-time Pro Bowler. He's an outside linebacker, Sean Merriman. He played for the Browns. He said, the Pro Bowl used to kind of be a badge of honor and like very well respected. And if you got to the Pro Bowl, like that was a badge of honor for players. And he said, I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk by almost every day, and it's signed by some of the best players and like the league and like NFL legends, and things have definitely changed. So like it's not even just, I mean, clearly, but it's not even just us as fans that are sitting here talking about this, but it's like it is being made into this joke, and for me it's just a money grab by the NFL at this point. And it, like, there are who knows, maybe Joe Burrow was offered to go be in it and he just turned it down because he's like, what's the point for me, right? Or Justin Herbert or any of these quarterbacks that are not named Shedeur Sanders that are much more talented quarterbacks than he is. Maybe that, like, they're turning it down because what's in it for them? Like, what is the point of doing this? And that's kind of where the league is going with Pro Bowls. I wouldn't surprise me if the Pro Bowl just almost doesn't become a thing, and maybe they just get an award shipped to their house or something. Like, I don't know. It sucks and it's sad because the Pro Bowl used to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And now it's just like you're watching Peyton Manning be a coach for these and them screw around on the field with flag football, and it's like, what are we doing here?
You know what they should do? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was like, NFL is not the only one going through this, obviously. Like,
sure,
NHL, NBA, every league is struggling. Amy Ritchie, how much money do you have, like, in total? I don't know how much money I have. I know how many pounds of money I have. That's the only way I look at my money.
Yeah, ask us how many pounds of money we have, Amy
we
Ritchie,
can give you that answer.
For the question.
No, I'm just saying, like, they're obviously they're grasping at straws. Like, people aren't interested in this anymore. These events were fun when you didn't have access to the athletes like you do now. There's just so many ways to get access to the athletes. You have your whatever the shows before the season. You have the in-season stuff. They're on Instagram. They have podcasts. Like, you get full access. You don't. But before, it was like unheard of to see them without their helmets on. Like, nobody knew. Like, people were unsure of the size of Peyton Manning's forehead until Pro Bowls, and now they're aware. And he also had a noodle arm, but he probably would have participated in the who can throw it the farthest.
Well,
I don't know.
It's
just ridiculous.
I'm really glad you brought that up as a point, because I think you're right. Like, you now have the Hard Knocks in season, Hard Knocks before season. These players are going on podcasts and building their own platforms and all those other things. So you do get access to them at a different level. The other thing for me, for as far as Pro Bowl is concerned, is like, it was so cool to see like the best of the best go up against each other and like actually maybe not play at 100%, but like at one point in time they were playing hard and like trying to win the game, and now it's like it even when they were in helmets and pads, like, it became a joke because nobody wanted to hurt each other, nobody wanted to get hurt, which is understandable, right? Like, you don't want to screw yourself over in your career end in a Pro Bowl when you have a couple years left in the tank. So. Yeah, I mean, I'll also say I think the Pro Bowls, the days of Pro Bowl being a real thing are very much in the past.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make the Pro Bowl cool again, you have to have the athletes compete in things that they're not good at. Like, I think it would be actually
like
pretty
Rocket
fun
League?
to do that. Exactly. Like doing like streaming stuff like that, or chess, or like whatever it is, and watch them all play each other and do like actual competitions and just these random like games or skills. I think that'd be very funny.
I would probably tune into that more if I was watching like Jamar Chase have to play Rocket League against
play like
Fred
Apex
Warner.
Legends or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
like throw, because they don't want to get hurt. Oh, Amy Ritchie has another question.
How many
you didn't spell it right. I don't know what
how many
puons
is. I have like 7 puons.
At least.
Yeah,
I
could go
check under
upstairs
the
and look.
couch.
I'd have
like
to count
6.
my puons.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about coaches. Enough about the Pro Bowl.
Let's do it.
Mike McCarthy. He was announced on Saturday, or it was announced on Saturday that Mike McCarthy will replace Mike Tomlin as the Steelers' new head coach. We'll start with this. Do the Steelers have a Mike fetish?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Are they in for Mike? McCarthy, he is a Pittsburgh native, but I don't know. This one to me is really, really interesting. I think the Steelers, and I think, Scotty, you may have mentioned this when we talked about the vacancy. The Steelers have to be a pretty appealing place for a head coach to go because of just how long they hold. Like, in the last, 90 years, they've had like 3 head coaches. So if they keep that track record up, it's a great place to go because no matter what, your job security is certainly intact. How do we feel about the Mike McCarthy to Steelers? Like, are we indifferent? Do we have opinions on this? It's kind of it's an interesting one.
I think interesting is about as big of a word as I would use. Like
I didn't say exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I agree with that word choice. Like interesting is the way to go versus something like exciting or I don't know, some other synonym, because it feels like the Steelers are just going to kind of continue to be like it just sort of is. Mike Tomlin isn't a great or Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's going to be a great coach. I just think he's going to be the coach. Like it just sort of is. The situation is what it is, and then it won't be eventually, probably 30 years from now. That's my analysis.
Amy Ritchie says Steelers coaches sucks. Amy
I agree.
Ritchie, I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you're leaving questions. We just got to work on the spelling. We got to figure this out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is sucks.
I was just
We'll
using
get there.
voice
We'll
to
get there.
chat. Voice,
it's good.
voice text.
My
probably
thoughts on
driving.
this are the Steelers just traded a coach that their claim to fame is winning a Super Bowl in 2011 over the coach they just fired. That's literally what they did. So the last time both of those coaches were in a Super Bowl was in 2011, and they just traded one for the other. That was it. That's basically what they did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could have went and got Harbaugh, and they could have done a little coach swap, and the Ravens could have got Tomlin, and it
just seems like a nothing burger. They just
and this
they
is
got
being
the same
floated
thing. I think they got worse, but
I think that got worse too. I think I would rather have Tomlin than Mike McCarthy.
But that's the point. That's the point that I've been making all season long, and probably going back into last year. If you've been a long time listener, I've been saying nothing against Mike Tomlin, but they got to get rid of him so they can suck for a while, because they've been stuck in this cycle of mediocrity where they're not getting good draft picks. They don't have a lot of draft capital to make things happen, and then next thing you know they're barely a playoff team and they get bounced in the first round, and that's just where they've been for years and years. So I think Steelers fans are saying, yeah, I hope Mike McCarthy comes in and wins us the Super Bowl, but if not, I hope he wins like 3 games over the next 2 seasons.
I don't, and everything's going to be dependent on schedule and what they decide to do with their roster, et cetera, et cetera. But I also don't think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach. And so, in my mind, you could almost keep the same freaking trajectory that Mike Tomlin had, where it's like you're an 8-9 team, you sneak your way into the playoffs, and then you inevitably are a first-round bump. And it's like that's kind of where I could see. If you went and hired some dipshit off the street, like somebody who clearly wasn't a good head coach.
Daniel, yeah.
Well, see, I don't even agree with that. He's
a
not a
Mike.
leader of men. He is a Mike. But if you go get somebody like some OC that's really unheard of and shouldn't be in there, to me, that would be pretty indicative of like, okay, we'll give the guy a shot. And if it doesn't work out, at least we'll can him and we can get a good draft capital and get the coach we need. Getting Mike McCarthy almost is like, you just feel like you're going to be on the same trajectory as a Steelers fan, is my impression as someone who isn't a Steelers fan. That's kind of what I see. And the other thing that I've seen floated around as far as this Mike McCarthy hiring, Amy Ritchie asked, what is our favorite football team? I'm a Cardinals fan, and these two gentlemen, as you can very clearly see behind, are Chiefs fans. So the other thing I've seen about Mike McCarthy, and Scotty loves heifers.
big livestock fan.
Yeah.
Huge livestock fan.
It's where all his pounds are.
Pounds.
Mike McCarthy, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but it's being floated around in the NFL circles. Perhaps they're trying to maybe get Aaron Rodgers to come back for another year with the ties that McCarthy and Rodgers have, and they do have a vacant quarterback room with
Sweet.
no I don't. It's a
Killer
nothing burger
boots,
to me,
man.
but I had to share it because it is being talked.
Yeah, I don't. This is just a big nothing sandwich in Pittsburgh. If I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm just so frustrated because we didn't even nothing happened. It's just like our coach is white and fat now. That's literally all you did. Like it's the same thing. He's just white and fat. That's it.
Yeah, our coach is just a little bit more susceptible to a targeted attack from a power station, and that's the only big
True.
change.
That's not. Yeah, we're not talking about that. Yeah, I don't.
Well,
It's whatever. They're in the same spot they are. They have the same problems they did before, and I don't think McCarthy's going to change any of that.
Yeah, I struggle to see that as well. Another coach that is Phillip Rivers. In a stroke of absolute genius, the Bills announced that they were interviewing Phillip Rivers as a potential head coaching candidate after they had moved on from McDermott. It was, however, short-lived as Rivers announced he was removing himself from the candidacy as of this morning. So, where Phillip Rivers?
Well, that's what
Where did he come from?
That's what the Steelers should have done right there. Take a shot on Phillip Rivers, who obviously is a football genius, and see if he's capable of coaching grown men. And if not, you're fine. Then you can revamp the whole. That's what I'm saying. You go from high school, the wide receivers coach at Kansas City went from coaching high school football wide receivers to NFL wide receivers, and then we promptly suck at having wide receivers. So, there's sometimes a good okay. Well,
Amy Ritchie says the Chiefs suck.
that's Chiefs.
Once again, that Chiefs. Yeah, we got to work on the spelling. I think you're
Young
Amy,
friend.
who is your team?
young friend. Yeah, who's your team?
Squad up. Who's your team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy
need
seems
some
like the
ammo.
kind of person who roots for like Manchester United and the game that's not a sport.
Yeah. The tweet I saw on this, which was hilarious, was that Phillip Rivers with 9 kids. They said this is the first time that Phillip Rivers has pulled out of anything. And I was absolutely dying.
That's good.
Yeah, when I saw Phillip Rivers was interviewing, I was like, "What in the hell are the Bills doing?" Like, it felt very much like Jeff Saturday-esque. Like, I'm like, what is going on here?
I also want to know why Phillip Rivers is the one withdrawing from this potential
That I found
meeting.
interesting.
Like, was it? I know we all got a chance to laugh at the Bills owner in his press conferences over the last week. Like, this dude's just a psycho, like just a moron. So maybe Phillip Rivers is like, yeah, I'm not doing that, which would be hilarious because Phillip Rivers has never coached anything except for high school football. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Buffalo Bills, I'm just simply not interested in being a part of that organization.
Amy Ritchie says Vikings are the best team in the world. We're gonna talk about that. Why don't you stay tuned?
Maybe.
We'll talk about the Vikings.
I do think this is wild for Buffalo that they blew up their team because they panicked. I think. I do think they should have fired McDermott, but I think they're panicking. I think this is sheer panic moves. And then the owner panicked on air. The GM or being panicked on
give some insight about that for anybody that missed it, because we didn't include it.
So obviously going back to them firing McDermott, and then there was a press conference with Bean and the owner, and basically it turned into them shit talking current players on the roster, which is Keon Coleman saying it was the previous coaching staff that wanted to draft him. Like, that was a bad thing in total. Like, Keon Coleman was the reason we haven't been doing good. And they're totally like bastardizing the point that is they just failed to draft correctly overall for a long period of time. It wasn't just Keon Coleman. Oh, by the way, Keon Coleman's still there. Now you have to go look him in his eyes and be like, sorry about talking shit about you, and convince him to still give his all to that team. And now they're struggling to get head coaches. I think the way they handled the exit of McDermott, I wouldn't want to go coach there either. Like, I don't care if I get Josh Allen. Like, there's very obviously something totally wrong with how this organization is ran. And honestly, like, as much as it pains me to say, like, Josh Allen probably was holding it together. He was probably
I would agree
he was
with that.
probably doing the Lord's work in making that thing happen. And they're totally like, I get it. If I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm like, we just ruined one of the greatest quarterbacks that we've ever had because we couldn't figure out how to put a team together all of a sudden.
Well, I don't think they need to be total doom and gloom. Like, I still think as a Buffalo fan, I'm going to say the same thing I've always said. If you've got Josh Allen, you're going to be in the mix. And so, yes, obviously all this sucks and the way that the season ended sucks. But I think getting rid of McDermott was inevitable unless you made a Super Bowl, because you've been talking about doing it for like 5 straight seasons now. And you still have Josh Allen, and you have an opportunity now. By the way, I have a friend who's a Bills fan. I talked with him a lot about this. He's, of course, ready to jump off a building, or the Bellevue Bridge, as we like to say. But
Good place.
we have to remember that this Bills team went from Josh Allen throwing 75 picks a game and kind of sucking to Josh Allen becoming a much better quarterback. And then they went from relying on Josh Allen in order to compete in any game to now they're a balanced team with a solid run game. And their offense is a little bit less explosive, but it's just better overall. Like, every year they've gotten better and better and better and better. And yes, this was a good opportunity to not have to play Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. And this was a good chance for the Bills to make the Super Bowl. And that didn't happen. But overall, you have to like where the Bills have gone as Josh Allen's career has progressed. And just because they're making a switch at coach doesn't mean they won't have an opportunity to add some weapons on the offensive side, get a little bit better, and make that extra push. I'm still relatively optimistic if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
I mean, I think you have to be, because of what you just stated. Is you have Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, I don't even that might not even be an argument. There's a very small handful of people that would say, or a very select group of quarterbacks.
One of them might be on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe. you have Josh Allen, right? You have a franchise quarterback that is one of the best to ever play the game. So you're always going to be in that. But I think to Allen's credit, like that press conference was an absolute dumpster fire. And it really showcased the disarray. There were clips that came out of Brandon Beane, who was the GM, and the owner, whose name currently escapes me for the Bills, was like, that wasn't Beane's call. That was the head coaching call. And then there are clips that surfaced of Beane being like, yeah, that's going to help us get Keon Coleman. And so like he clearly was bought into the fact that Keon Coleman was going to be like their guy. So it's all just like, it's a clown show. And then there are also rumors that surfaced that they didn't even tell Josh Allen they were moving on from him. And it's like, you should probably, like, this is your franchise quarterback. This is a guy who has been bought into what you have been selling. He has been drinking the Bills Kool-Aid. You should probably have a conversation with him before you're going to move on from your head coach. They didn't do that. They were saying Josh Allen's crying in the locker room after they lost, and they were just like slandering all their players.
Dude,
it's got to make it way less appealing.
Dude, this Bills team, it blows my mind. I just read the room. This is not the year to be looking for head coaches. This isn't the year. You're just like totally waiting for the wrong time.
You are. Beaner Wiener. He's back. Welcome back, brother. He says, what's up, bros? F this snow. Sam Darnold is packing a monster hog. We're going to talk about that monster hog that he's packing, so stay tuned.
Specifically the hog, not even the game. We're just going to talk about
We're talking about what he's packing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is also worth, while we're talking about the Bills, it is also worth mentioning that there are rumors that were circulating that Bill Belichick wanted the job and was very interested. But the Bills reportedly, there was a leak that came out today that they have zero interest in Bill Belichick. Can't say I blame him there. And I don't know. That would
be the greatest villain arc ever, to come back to Buffalo and try to deny New England.
But what if they hired Bill Belichick and he continued his trend with North Carolina in Buffalo, and he comes in and just sabotages the Buffalo Bills, and that would be hilarious.
Best. Also,
write a book about that: How to Destroy the Buffalo Bills Over the Course of 3 Decades by Bill Belichick.
Dude, and this is all happening while Drake May in New England goes to the Super Bowl. Like this is nightmare fuel for Bills fans. Through and through.
Well, and the icing on the cake here, and I kind of, when Alan said that the Bills, it feels like they're almost panicking, that's kind of, as an outsider looking in, that's almost kind of what it looks like. And I kind of agree with that sentiment. They're interviewing David Webb, who's a 30-year-old, he's the Broncos quarterbacks coach. And It's like, look, if we as the Cardinals were to interview David Webb, I'd be like, whatever, screw it, that's fine. Because why not just take a shot on the young guy that maybe could turn the organization around? But like, that's not where the Bills are at. Like,
I tell you what,
the Bills are in a window. Go get a guy who can do it.
If there's one thing, when you look at the Broncos and you say that team does one thing well, it's definitely their quarterback play.
Yeah. That's what's concerning, right? Is like, it's not.
I don't. Well, the problem that we're running into now is NFL GMs and fans is that you had Indiana win a national title with Cignetti on year 2. You got Vrabel coming in and going to a Super Bowl in year 2. You got a quarterback that, there's going to be this clamoring for immediate returns. Like, they're not going to wait anymore. And so it's like,
you shouldn't if you're the Bills, though. You
shouldn't. But like, really, this David Webb over McDermott, this is what you feel is the best thing? Because there's no way in hell that's not restarting.
No. And that's what I mean is like, if you're already a slum franchise, like the Jets, the Cardinals, the Browns, like if you want to take a shot on a young, unproven like coach, I don't see what the downside is, right? Because you're not going to get any worse than you already are. When you're the Bills and you're sitting where you are right now, it's like, we're in this window. Josh Allen's not getting any younger. We have talent on this roster. We really need to utilize it. And why take a shot on an unproven guy when you can go get somebody who at least understands how to utilize the roster and build and continue the success that they have found and further progress that, versus somebody who might just fail because they're a shitty first-time head coach who's never done it before. Like, that's where I feel like that panic is coming in for the Bills, because when you look at the coaching landscape right now, it's kind of bleak. Like, there's a couple guys still out there, but like Harbaugh's gone, Stefanski's signed. Like, these guys are getting pulled off the board now, and it's like, who was your better option than McDermott at that point? And that's where I don't know if I know you were talking to your friend Scotty about the Bills, and he's a Bills fan, but I don't know if you move, like if I was a Bills fan, I don't know if I would want to move on from McDermott because you're still finding success, and it's like, and there were also rumors that came out after that press conference that we discussed earlier, stating that McDermott actually went to the front office and was like, this isn't a roster that's able to compete. Like, this isn't a Super Bowl ready roster. I need more. And it wasn't clarification as to what exactly, but if I was to guess, probably an upper echelon wide receiver, because the pass catchers this year for the Bills weren't upper echelon guys. They were just guys, and that's part of the problem. So if that's true, and McDermott's going there saying, "Hey, we're close, but I need just a couple more guys," and they're like, "No, you have the roster to do it. Go do it." Well, I don't want to sit here. I understand that McDermott has been talked about for years now on the hot seat, but I don't know if it was the right move to move on from him, especially with the coaching candidacies that are currently being floated around right now.
The second part of that sentence is really the important part, because I would argue that it was time to get rid of McDermott. I think you could make an argument that it was time last year, but this year, it doesn't seem like the candidates that are available are of enough quality to justify it. So if you're going to make an argument to keep him around, it'd be like, keep him around for one more year, give him one more shot, and see if we can get some more candidates in the door that aren't, this 30-year-old no-name guy.
Yeah,
I agree. 1,000%.
Turn and Be Forgiven left a comment on here and said they could wait and try for Kubiak. I think they probably will. I mean, I think they're not going to make a decision. I think Kubiak is one of the ones who's still around that would be interesting and they would be interested in. So yeah, I could certainly see that. I like that comment. I like the thought process because I think that's a viable, at least thought, as far as what they could do.
Yeah.
But also the problem that kind of the Bills shot themselves in the foot with is they couldn't fire McDermott because they were still in contention at the time when all these head coaches started like interviewing and going through the process, and they're probably salivating at the mouth to maybe get a Stefanski or Harbaugh, but they were too little too late because they're still in the playoffs and they can't just be like, well, we're going to go play on Sunday, but we're going to fire Sean McDermott.
Again, this is all exacerbated by the fact that the playoffs had no big name quarterbacks. It was in front of them. They could have done it. They didn't do it.
Sure.
And, New England's doing it. New England's doing it with, Vrabel coming back. And by the way, with Diggs and Hollins as their wide receivers that the Bills previously had, not at the same time, but had them as well. And it's like, this is just adding fuel to this fire now. Like, this is just accelerating every decision they're making in their mind because they're like, holy shit, like, we got to figure something out now, because it's just not going to get any easier. It's just not. It's going to continue to get tougher and tougher for them now from here on.
Okay, so looking at our crystal balls here into the future, do you see the Bills being better or worse next year? And I know that's a very gray area.
What was their record?
I think they lost 3 games. I think they were
worse.
14 and
worse. The ceiling is just too high to bet on better with a new head coach coming in, and we don't know what new talent is going to be on the roster. I mean, if you tell me over the offseason they sign a couple big name guys or one big game guy and a couple good ones, like maybe, but as of right now, you have to say worse. I don't think there's a good argument for better.
No, I agree with that. I think they will be worse. Being a wiener, Bills are interviewing Jimmy Duggan, former coach of the Rockford Peaches. Shefty. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Great movie.
One more great movie. One more coach to talk about here, Robert Saleh, who was one of the guys who was kind of a sought-after defensive mind. News broke last Thursday that Saleh accepted a 5-year contract to lead the Titans as their new head coach. Do we like this signing for the Titans? Do we like this signing for Saleh? What are our thoughts about the head coaching decision here?
I think I just expect Robert to be the defensive coordinator for the Niners in 2029. Is that what we do? You go try it out for a little bit and come back? I think that's what it comes back to home base, which will be the 49ers. I don't know. I think it could work. I think Robert was ran out of, New York previously unfairly with Rodgers and all of that. I'll be interested to see if they're committed to, building up this roster. He has a quarterback. I think that.
That's what concerns me about this.
It's because he has one?
It's because he's a defensive-minded coach. And for the Titans, I would have really liked to see them go get an offensive-minded guy to try and help develop Cam Ward. And that's not to say that it can't get done. And if Saleh hires a good OC, okay. But like
that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, he's a defensive-minded guy first. And I agree with you, by the way. I think that he did get an unfair treatment when he was with New York. And if Saleh was going to be the Cardinals head coach, I wouldn't be disappointed in that, because I do think in terms of leaders of men and in like his knowledge of the game, like he understands it very well. I'm a little concerned about the development of Cam Ward with Saleh being there. And
you know what'll put your mind at ease about the development of Cam Ward? There is one offensive coordinator who's got a pretty good record for developing top-tier quarterback talent. And he really wanted a head coaching job, but that doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So I actually think Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator for the Titans. I'm only halfway joking here, because I do think that absent head coaching opportunity, Nagy's priority is just a place where he can go to be the play caller and run the offense. And this is actually a pretty good opportunity for him to actually do that and get his sort of foot in the door in that almost head coach position, because I don't think he's going to get hired as a head coach this year, but this would actually be a step in the right direction for his career. And I wouldn't actually hate it, I don't think.
I just don't like Nagy. Sorry, I know I said his name wrong. I don't like Matt Nagy. I think he's a fucking idiot, and I know that we've talked about him in jest a lot here on this show. Sorry, Philly Mike OG said, breaking news, the Cardinals just traded Kyler Murray to the Falcons for a second. I don't think that's true, but I would be very happy if it was. That would be awesome. I think it would be a good opportunity for him, because it's either make or break, right? Like this, there's nowhere to go but up for this offense, and so they need a lot of different players. Like their roster is pretty decimated offensively. It would be make or break. I still am not buying that he would make it, but I think anything is an improvement over where they were last year. So if you get him to go over there and he stays as far away from Arizona as possible, I'm fine with that.
I do think that Robert Saleh, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's tough to know whether or not the Titans are capable of taking any sort of steps forward. I tend to agree that the quarterback play did just enough this year to inspire some degree of confidence that they can improve. I don't know. It's not like it was for Bo Nix or Drake May, in last offseason, where we said, oh, those guys are definitely going to be, decent. But there were some flashes and something enough to be excited about as of right now. I don't know if Saleh's the guy to make that happen, but I like Saleh. I think he is a good coach. I don't know if this is the right situation. What I'm really excited for is the beef that he seems to have with Liam Cohen, and now they're going to play each other, a couple times a year, and we might see that get to grow into something, sort of Ben Johnson-esque, where we get to watch some conflict.
Do we like Liam Cohen? Do you guys like Liam Cohen?
It seems like he's a good coach. I think I would want to punch him in the face.
Like him.
Yeah, I don't. He's just got a punchable head is the problem.
He does.
I can't get over that.
Correct. Something about him's off, but he's a good coach.
He is a good coach. I don't think we can say.
He's got some dirt. He's got some dirt there we'll dig up at some point, but for right now, he's a good coach.
All right. Well, that's all the coach speak. We are going to go over to the AFC and NFC championship and recap those games. But before we do, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor.
This combo meal's got combinations. Make this thing your own creation. Entree, drink, and choice of sides. Oh, and it's free to swap fries. BK, have it your way.
Gentlemen, we are halfway through the chaos of the NFL, and if you're like Sam Darnold, you have spent years wandering the wilderness of the NFL just looking for a win. But I'm going to tell you what, you don't need to trade to Seattle for a redemption arc. All you need, ladies and gentlemen, is a Whopper on Wednesday. It's that easy. If you're a Royal Perks member, you can snag an original Whopper for just $3 and 99 cents. I don't have 99 fingers. Every single Wednesday. That's a Hall of Fame value for a Hall of Fame burger. And for the Sweet Tooth crew, pair it with a new fried cinnamon apple pie. It's warm. It's flaky. And unlike your team's clock management, it never lets you down, baby. Rule the week, rule the menu, and rule your cravings. Join Royal Perks in the app today and start earning those crowns. Burger King, baby, you rule. We appreciate your sponsorship. And now, let's talk about the AFC. We'll start with this game. We kind of talked about this earlier. This game freaking sucked, man. This game was boring as hell. This game was a snow game, which I love snow games. But
by default, those can't be bad ones. By default, snow game cannot be a bad game.
I agree.
It was snowy.
This is a boring game. Snow games can be boring.
I don't know, man. It's snowing.
It was a boring game. The snow was so bad that even the commentators were saying how much you couldn't see the Patriots players because they were wearing white, and they're like,
hilarious.
It was bad. It was coming down.
Romo said that every second. He's like, I don't know if you can see him. I was like,
yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
Like, I'm not there, but
I will say
the cameras are so good that you can see them on the cameras and you can't see the snow. But then they would pivot over to the wide view, and you're like, holy crap, it is a tundra out there.
Yeah, I mean, they picked the perfect guy to commentate on the game because Tony Romo never let you go 3 seconds without realizing it was snowing. He decided to remind you of the snow as often as he ever could, and I enjoyed it. I thought the game was fine. I mean, it was close, which kept it interesting. So, yes, it wasn't offensive explosion. Yes, it wasn't clean football because there was a blizzard happening, but it was close, and so you knew that anything could kind of happen, and it kept you glued to the TV the whole time.
I think ironically this hurt the Broncos more because they needed to push the ball. They needed to move the ball, and they were struggling to do that anyways. And then you just add the snow, and it's like, well, now we can do literally nothing. Like, the odds of us moving this ball now are minimal.
None.
I think this highlights, like, the game was pretty much over. Was it in the second when to go up 10-0?
Sean Payton went for it on fourth down rather than kicking the field. It's like, dude, you have the weather forecast in your hands. Like, that's something all NFL teams do. What's the weather going to be like? What's it going to be like in the third and fourth? What's the wind doing? Like, they do that in college. So I know he has that. And I don't know if this is because he played in a dome coached in a dome forever and kind of forgot that piece of the puzzle. But it's like, the game is going to deteriorate. You know it. Points are at a premium. You're starting a backup quarterback, and you have the chance to go up 2 scores at home, and you don't do it. And I think that was it. Like, they couldn't climb out of that hole anymore. The points were they didn't sniff points even when they were about to. It gets blocked. It's hard to kick field goals. And I think, to me, if I'm a Broncos fan, it's this team. You got to look at the team in totality. Even though they didn't have Jarrett Stidham, like, you're never going to get a team like that again. Like, your opportunities are limited. You're going to have to reinvent yourself again next year. And you had a prime opportunity. Schedule. Yeah, but you had a prime opportunity to win now. And I think Sean Payton totally hosed them because I think they played their ass off because New England also has a really good defense. I think, to me, the difference in this game literally was Sean Payton and his decision to do that. Like, and it's unfortunate that it comes down to that. Yeah, that little asshole deserves it though. So good for him. He does.
Yeah, he totally deserves that. I mean, I obviously don't like the Broncos being a Chiefs fan. This was a great hate watch playoffs for me, and it culminated excellently. And now I get one more hate watch game in a Super Bowl, and to pay off my good hate watching views. But to me, this was just Sean Payton. He just totally hosed his team. I think that's what it was.
You mentioned Stidham. I mean, when he was pressured, he was 1 for 10 for 4 yards and 2 interceptions. And you can blame it on the defense, you can blame it on the snow, but like that 4th and 1 call where, I mean, he was on the Patriots 20-yard line. He should have taken the points, and maybe we're in overtime now. And that, to me, I was like, wow, that's what we're gonna do here.
Believe it.
I really do think that this trend of going for every 4th down all the time because some fucking ChatGPT told you it was a good idea, I do think that is going to start dwindling. Like, I know everything in the NFL kind of ebbs and flows, and there are trends and then regressions. But at the end of the day, we have seen so many teams lose games they should have won or gone to overtime in because they didn't take the points that were in front of them. Or teams take the points off the board because there's a penalty on an extra point, and now they're a little closer and they want to go for 2. Like, don't take points off the boards. Take points when you can take points. Defenses are getting better. Like, every year in the NFL, defenses are getting better. We used to have, remember it was a really heavy running back league for a while, and then it was just air raid offenses, throw the ball, score a billion points, and now we're getting to the point where defenses are just so good, and they're so good at disguising their coverages, and the athletes that play corner and safety are the best athletes on the field. Defenses are so good, you cannot afford to leave points out anymore, and I really do think NFL coaches need to come to terms with this and start kicking fucking field goals.
I'm not going to argue that sentiment, but I am going to maybe look at the other narrative that isn't discussed is, you say take the points, kick the field goals, but How often are we sitting here talking about them going for it on fourth down and that being like them getting it, and then that's like that? It's always hindsight's always 20/20, and it's always easy to sit there and point out and say, well, yeah, you should have taken the points. But inversely, more often than not, we don't talk about them going like any team going for it on fourth, and we do sometimes. So I don't want to say that we don't, but like there are many times when teams go for it on fourth down to either continue their drive and or score a point, and that could have been the differentiator that won them the game. And so, yeah, you can ask ChatGPT. I'm sure the NFL has a lot of other analytics involved that tell them when they should and should not go for it. To me, this one was a no-brainer to kick the field goal. But, you know, looking at the other side of the coin here, there could be valid arguments to go for it in those situations where you can get something.
But it's all situational, of course. I mean, there is no one answer for everything.
Beaner Wiener says, no Chiefs, no Mahomes, and no more of the gay Kelsey and his girlfriend. Best postseason ever.
I forgot. Who's Beaner Wiener a fan of again? Is he a Raiders fan? That might be racist that I said that.
No, I think. Well, when he chimed into one of our shows, he was talking about the Raiders and Mendoza. So
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, if this is what you want to watch, is Jarrett Stidham and Drake May throw for 4 yards? By all means, my guy, enjoy your product on the field.
It's way better playoffs than Josh Allen.
San Fran. Oh yeah, that is close. That is close.
Okay,
hey,
so
Beaner Wiener, what do you think? What do you think? Substations, man, are they taking your players down? Yay or nay? I'm saying yay. I'm saying these substations are totally wrecking ligaments.
We're saying big machines just coming for.
Some are saying Santa Clara is the next Chernobyl. I don't know.
Some are saying that,
but some are saying that.
Some are saying that.
I don't know who,
I've
but
also
some
heard that. Some
here
on the show.
We want your insight on that. Like, as a fan, do you believe that the substation theory is true? I want to know.
Yeah.
Because we.
All right. Well, he said, "Bro, I agree. We've been crushed with injuries. Beaner Wiener's all in on
goated. Beaner Wiener's a goat.
He knows what's up, or she. Beaner Wiener knows what's up.
If Beaner Wiener is a she, that's going to be the biggest twist ever.
I know. It's
in the history of podcasts.
M. Night Shyamalan twist of usernames.
All right, let's go over to the NFC. Or is there anything else we want to touch on?
I do want to talk about this for a second because are we? A lot of people want to crown Drake May for this run. Okay. Has he just been hanging out collecting wins, or do we really feel like we know enough about Drake May to say this is his postseason?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think this postseason has been indicative of his play this year, but as I'm sure Scotty's about to bring up, their schedule is also a cupcake schedule, so he's gotten to play some pretty unformidable
What's even worse than that,
defenses.
though, because they've only played a handful of games against winning teams, and in those games, Drake May has sucked. Like, it's not even that, Drake May has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in games against winning teams over his career so far. But listen, I think when you watch him play, he's very obviously a good quarterback. Like, he's very obviously talented. He very obviously has, the entire NFL career in front of him where he can win multiple Super Bowls. I have no doubt about that. The question is right now, and we're going to find out, we're not going to talk about the Super Bowl much today. We're going to save that for next week, but I think there's a real chance that we see the downside of this Patriots team once we talk about the Super Bowl. And we might see, I think there is a better than 0% chance this Super Bowl is a total and complete blowout, similar to what we saw last season.
Wiener, he agrees. And sorry to interrupt you. He says Darnold crushes the Pats. Babyface May has a bright career ahead, but the Pats aren't fully back yet. Yeah. We're going to save our thoughts for next week for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think, though, with this Super Bowl run, like what he's done so far through these playoff games and even in this game is like he hasn't really had to do much. He's got a sick offense. Yeah. Even the one touchdown drive he had was because of the forced fumble from Stidham. And so he had like a 12-yard drive to get a touchdown, and that was their one touchdown drive. I just think you look at what you look, and this is perfect that Rod's commenting, because you look at what Stafford did last night, throw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he loses, and we're like, oh, see, Stafford couldn't get there. But then you look at Drake May for participatory things, and this is why we say I don't think winning is a quarterback stat. Like, this is where I have a really hard time, because yes, he's talented, yes, he can be really good, but we say the same thing about Josh Allen, but then he also gets just absolutely riddled when he doesn't get there. And I think it's okay to say, yes, these guys made made the Super Bowl without going all wax poetic on like, oh shit, like this is the best quarterback, this is the next dynasty, he's the next Tom Brady, because that's certainly not the case. I think we can just call it what it was. He leaned on his defense. He's very lucky it was a snowy game, and then we move on.
I do think the Patriots are under I think that dynasty, and I've been saying this on this show since before postseason even started. I think we're going to see them in the conversation as an upper echelon team for years to come. And I would expect Drake May to continue to improve. I think he had a really good season this year. I think in the postseason, he's been very underwhelming in comparison as to what he did in the regular season. But also, as I said earlier, their schedule was easy. They had an easier schedule, and they were
playing real teams in the postseason for the most part. And honestly, you could make an argument that they haven't really been playing real teams even in the postseason.
Yeah.
You get Herbert, CJ Stroud didn't do anything, and you get Jarrett Stidham, and you're in the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But he was playing the Broncos defense, which is elite. But he also sucked against him. So, yeah.
Pre-snow, he wasn't doing very much. Post-snow, nobody did anything.
Yeah. Okay, anything else in the AFC side of things that we want to touch on?
No.
I do hope the Patriots win the Super Bowl, I think, because I think it would be the funnier story. I don't know. Sam Darnold's also pretty funny.
No, Sam Darnold.
They're both pretty funny.
Sam Darnold. They are pretty funny. Well, let's talk about Sam Darnold. Let's talk about the NFC Championship. And I want to start with this. Rod28X, he did say last night was like this year's Super Bowl. That's how I felt watching this game. 100%. And I said this even last week. I said whoever wins the NFC, I'm of the belief is going to win the Super Bowl. And I still firmly believe that. But last night's game was comparison to the Patriots game was freaking awesome. That
was like watching JV and then varsity. You're like, all right, the JV just got done. Now we're going to watch varsity play, and we're going to watch Stafford, and we're going to watch the Seahawks team. Like, this is going to be sweet. It was a great game. I agree.
It was a really great game. And I told you guys, and you guys convinced me to say the Rams were going to win this, but I told you guys I really have a feeling that the Seahawks are going to win this one.
I don't think I convinced you of anything.
It was Alan. It was Alan. I think it was Alan. Alan said you have money on the game. He did. Because I said I think the Seahawks, I don't have a good feeling about the Rams in this.
I thought Darnold was going to pumpkin. I thought he was going to do it. He didn't do it. He still hasn't done it. I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing. That's still, like, I said it last week. Like, every team sort of has their Achilles heel, and the Achilles heel of the Seahawks is Sam Darnold. We just haven't seen it sort of activate up yet. It hasn't been, activated by electromagnetism.
He went 346 for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was throwing some freaking dimes.
I agree with you. He played lights out, and he's played lights out several times all season. But when he's not playing lights out, he's playing like the old Sam Darnold. It's one or the other this whole year. He's either throwing 3 picks in a game, or he's throwing for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. There's no in between. So the question is, which one are you going to get against this Patriots defense that is really, really, really good?
Well, I don't want to show my hand because we're going to talk about it next week.
Next week. Let's recap this game.
So in terms of the shootout, there was 875 total yards of offense in this game, and it was a hell of a game to watch. Both quarterbacks were slinging it. They were playing. I mean, it was all around just a tremendous game. But I want to call myself out, gentlemen, because I couldn't have been more wrong about the Seahawks this year. You will find a clip if you go over on our social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we're at, or we're everywhere. But on any of those platforms, there was a clip that I posted before the season had started about the Seahawks. And I made a series of clips about my hot takes, and one of them was the Seahawks were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. And here we are sitting at the Super Bowl with the Seahawks in it. My arguments were they got rid of DK Metcalf, they got rid of Geno. What are they doing? Sam Darnold's going to be that pumpkin that Alan had mentioned, and I couldn't have been more wrong. So I have to call myself out and throw myself some shade because I was very wrong.
I do appreciate as a sports commentator that you are nowadays. You do everything at 110%. Because, like, when you're wrong, you're as wrong as a person could possibly be. But you're also, when you're right, you're very right. You're also like, oh yeah, the Falcons are going to go 9-8 and fire their head coach or whatever. Well, okay, nobody else was saying that. So you're just like, whatever you say is either just fucking stupid or the most brilliant thing anyone's ever thought. And I appreciate that about you.
In Slap's defense, I think we all thought this about Seattle. Like, were they more likely to regress or progress? And I think I think we underestimated what this team could be. I think we underestimated some of the parts, like how Shaheed was going to pull up, how this running game was going to look, how this defense was going to look. Yeah, and JSN being, all worldly. Now he's in posts of like, all right, bench one, and they're like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and like, so that tells you like where he's now elevating himself to. But I think if you want to add, besides the Bills being on suicide watch for what's happening, the Vikings have to be on suicide watch for what's happening, because you literally let Darnold go for a guy that paints his face, calls himself 9, and is injured all the time. Like, that's what you did. And so now you got two fan bases that are just just tortured by what is happening and playing out on the field. So one of those fan bases is going to feel,
the Jets, and there, I've seen a lot of Jets fans on X, the everything app, and have they're very much rooting for Sam Darnold, and they're like, go get it. Like, we're rooting for you. Which,
well, it's because they hate the Patriots more than they dislike that Darnold left.
Yeah. Which, respect. Yeah. That's what sports is really about, is hatred.
Yeah, you have to be able to hate better than anybody. And I saw one Jets fan say, if Sam Darnold prevents the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl, it was worth our draft pick in 2018 or 2017. I was dying.
Yeah. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, I think, Alan. Sam Darnold, he is the first quarterback in that class, in the 2018 draft class, to go to the Super Bowl. And if anybody's not familiar with all the quarterbacks that were in that class, I'm going to read them very quickly. Baker Mayfield went at the 101. Sam Darnold was the second quarterback. He was the third pick in that draft. At number 7, you had the Bills taking Josh Allen. At the 10th pick, you had the Cardinals taking Josh Rosen. And the very last pick in the first round was Lamar Jackson to the Ravens. So out of all of those quarterbacks, I mean, you got Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Sam Darnold is going to the freaking Super Bowl. I would not like that. You can't make this up.
Well, you know what I really appreciate about Sam Darnold, because you know me, I'm all about the persona. I'm all about the leadership qualities. That don't be emotional, like be a leader. At the end of this game, he was asked by the sideline reporter, "Hey, there are a lot of people talking shit about you for your entire career. What does it mean now that you are finding all the success and going to the Super Bowl?" And his words were, "I don't care about that. Like, I'm just here to win. I'm here to play football. Like, I don't pay attention to any of that bullshit. I'm just here to show up and play for my guys." And he just approached the whole situation. Like, you can imagine so many players in the NFL like, fuck you, revenge tour. I'm talking this shit. Like, he's just like, yeah, I'm just here to play football. I didn't care about what they were saying when I was losing, and I certainly don't care now that I'm a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah. I think he's played really well. I think in this game, when you dive into it, and I'm reading some of the chats coming in from Rod and Beaner Wiener, like some of these, I like that's his name. I'm getting that tattooed on me. Exactly where you think I'm going to get it tattooed too.
You have to abbreviate it a little bit.
No, we're going the full thing with the numbers and the at. It'll all fit. I think you talked about going for it on 4th, and I'm happy this was mentioned, because there was opportunity to get points for McVay, and I know he felt the pressure, because I think he felt like our defense can't stand up to the Seahawks. And I mean, by and large, they didn't, because they were dropping coverage all over the place. They were kind of letting them, do whatever they wanted on offense. But I think McVay should have gotten those 3 points when he went for it. It was late in the 4th. I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes left in the 4th, and he went for it and passed up the 3. When, I mean, that could have been it, because now you put a little bit more. Yeah, then you put a little bit more pressure on the Seahawks now, because once that gap tightens and you don't have like as much wiggle room, like when you have a touchdown, you got to go and get, like, you get some wiggle room on how you want to play. But when it's that down to that 3 and you let pressure creep into the other side, I think McVay was a little too lax with his 4th down. Like Matt was saying, like, people need to just take the points. And I think that was a prime opportunity. Just shorten the gap just a little bit, just get closer. And now you need another 3 instead of trying to get it all at once. Like, I think that was one of many calls where I feel like McVay, even in the Chicago game, I felt like he was fumbling through the offense. And I don't think this was a great playoffs showing for him at all, because I think he wasted a lot of opportunities for that offense.
I think he knows that Stafford is reaching the end of his career, and this is sort of make or break it time for him. And I think he felt that pressure. But ultimately, like, the 4th down decisions, obviously hindsight is 2020. And you can sort of see his perspective, given like, okay, both of us seem to be unstoppable offenses. So I don't know if I can afford to just take 3 points. I don't know if we're ever going to stop the Seahawks offense again. But at some point, like, I just think NFL coaches have to come to the realization that, like, hey, if it's 4 or 5 yards and, the likelihood that we convert this 4th down is just kind of okay, like, just take the points. Like, 3 points is better than no points. And by the way, we forget that Well, yeah, I don't know. I just think they really should start taking points more often, even in these situations where you feel the pressure of the opposing offense. Just take the points, put them on the scoreboard, because you can't just wish them there later on. You have to take them when they're there. I
like, I know as being in the NFC West, and both of these teams also being in the NFC West, it's just sad to see that all these other teams are so dominant and we're at the bottom, and I shouldn't like any of these teams. But I got kind of sad watching Sean McVay on that 4th and 5 when they went for it in the end zone and didn't get it, and the camera panned over to him and he had the thing in his face, and he knew at that moment like the game was over, and I was like, damn, man, that sucks, because you were right there, and he knew it. Like, you could tell right then and there. He knew like it was done, and it was. Yeah. I kind of want to touch back on the Vikings thing just a little bit, because I think it's hilarious.
Okay, I like it.
I mean, if you're a Vikings fan, you gotta be I mean, you're watching all this play out. JJ McCarthy is not good. He is not the answer.
It'd be one thing if he was
you
like,
let him go.
It'd be one thing if he was just like, if JJ McCarthy was like, okay, he's just young, he's making some mistakes, but he also has decided to be totally insufferable as a human being, and that's the real problem. Because you're like, wow, he kind of sucks, and then you see him in front of the camera, and you're like, wow, he sucks, and I hate him. And that makes getting rid of Sam Darnold that much more painful for Vikings fans.
It just, you were in the hunt last year. You went to the playoffs. You got knocked out. You had the opportunity to keep him. You let him go. And now that quarterback is freaking in the Super Bowl. Like, Vikings players have to be disgusted. And like, Vikings fans also have to be equally as disgusted.
And it's not even just he's in the Super Bowl, though, because he could have Drake made his way to the Super Bowl and had an easy schedule and a dominant defense.
True, and nobody would have
This guy's like
twice.
one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this season.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think Darnold is playing like a madman. But I mean, Rod, I agree with Rod. I think there was just weird play calling. There was, obviously they didn't make the plays they needed to, but I think this is how the Rams have been trending over the last handful of games, where they just kind of, that you see how good they could be. There's flashes of like, wow, this team could just beat the living crap out of everybody. And then there's times where you're like, oh God, like they look kind of dysfunctional, or why are they not calling this play or calling that play? And I think unfortunately I wanted to see the Rams in it. I wanted to see Stafford get one more, and we're not going to get that. Instead, we're going to get either way, we're getting a repeat, and we're getting this repeat Super Bowl of, Drake May and, or the Patriots and the Seahawks with Drake May and Sam Darnold, just like we all thought at the beginning of the season. So
yeah, we had it on our bingo cards. All right, that's all the time we have. Rod28X, Beaner Wiener, we appreciate you guys as well as everybody else that's joined us. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We genuinely appreciate it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you should say too that if you're just listening on audio podcast, we appreciate you, but you miss a lot of the fun when you don't get to see. We read a lot of the comments that come on. We don't read all the comments, and they do add to the conversation. So check us out on YouTube if you haven't already. Check the video out on Spotify. Enjoy like the streamer version of the show. It's not just audio. We're way more than audio.
Yeah. There's two handsome guys in here that you definitely need to see, and I'll let you guys determine which ones they are. All right.
Vote below.
Next week, we are going to be covering the Super Bowl preview, so we are excited to do that. Rod28X says, great show. We genuinely appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for coming back, and we'll see you next week. And let's get the hell out of here, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We
are
out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out Leatherbrainz.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.